This incident today will awaken your soul. That's why we request you to watch this event till the very end. It was Sabiha's wedding day. There was a joyful atmosphere all around, but an unusual restlessness was visible on her face. Guests were gathering. The surroundings were glowing with lights, and women were singing to the rhythm of the drums. Yet, Sabiha had a strange fear in her heart, as if some secret mystery was chasing her. Her mother and aunt were dressing her in bridal attire. The red dress, heavy jewelry, and lowered eyes made her look like a stunning bride, but in her eyes was a strange terror, a kind that no one was trying to understand. "Mother, you should be happy. Allah has written such a beautiful relationship in your destiny," her mother said gently, caressing her cheek. Sabiha gave a soft smile, but thousands of questions swirled in her mind. Who was the man she was about to marry? She'd never seen him. She only heard that the groom was from a wealthy and honorable family, but no one clearly spoke about his age. The nikah ceremony began. The Maulvi first asked, "Do you accept this marriage?" Sabiha took a deep breath. The elderly faces around her looked at her. She couldn't figure out who among them was her actual groom. Was she really marrying one of those 5 elderly men? Or was there a deeper conspiracy hiding behind this? Whether you're Hindu or Muslim friends, do not skip this video. Watch till the end. Before we begin the video, let's say a small prayer. O Allah, protect us from sin and grant us paradise. Everyone, please comment Ameen. And don't forget to give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe now. This video has a like target of 100,000, so please give it a like. Now let's begin. Sabiha's heart was beating rapidly. The elderly faces around her kept staring, and she still couldn't identify who the real groom was. The Maulvi asked again, "Do you accept this nikah?" Her eyes met her mother's face. Her mother gave a gentle smile as if believing this was the best relationship for their daughter. She looked at her father, but there was a strange sense of determination on his face. "Kabul," Sabiha whispered softly, but the unease in her heart deepened. After repeating Kabul 3 times, the nikah was complete. When it was time to send her off in bridal attire, she saw 5 elderly men standing beside her. One of them said, "Let's go home now." Tears welled up in Sabiha's eyes, but she said nothing. She had to accept her fate and move forward. As she sat in the car, darkness surrounded them. The 5 elderly men sat beside her, but no one spoke. The car moved through dark roads and finally stopped in front of a grand house. Looking through the window, she saw a large, old, yet luxurious mansion standing before her. Inside the house, her eyes went to the large chandelier and heavy wooden furniture. All around was a strange silence. "Take her to her room," a deep voice echoed. A woman stepped forward dressed in black, her face lowered. She gestured for Sabiha to follow her. Upon reaching the room, the woman closed the door and said softly, "There's no need to be afraid, but staying silent would be best for you." Sabiha, trembling, asked, "But my husband?" The woman gave no answer. Fear consumed Sabiha's heart. Had she really been married to one of those 5 old men? Or was there a deeper secret hidden beneath it all? Her mind was lost in confusion. She sat alone in the room, yet it felt like someone was watching her every move. After a while, the door creaked open slowly. The same woman in black entered again, bringing food. Sabiha gathered courage and asked, "Why am I still not being told the truth? Where is my husband?" The woman lowered her gaze and said slowly, "It's better for you to know only this. You are married now, and it is not your place to ask questions." In the silence of the night, suddenly there was a soft knock at the door. Sabiha panicked. "Is someone there?" she asked, voice trembling. No reply came. Then suddenly a piece of paper was slipped under the door. Sobia quickly picked it up with shaking hands and opened it. There was only one line written. "If you want to live, do not try to learn the truth." The paper slipped from her hands, her heartbeat quickened. She picked it up again and read, "If you want to live, do not try to learn the truth." Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside the window. She slowly walked toward it and moved the curtain. It was dark outside, but she felt like a shadow had just moved swiftly past. She slowly stepped toward the old wooden wardrobe in the corner of the room. "Maybe I'll find something here that can help me open the door," she whispered to herself. As she opened the wardrobe, her eyes widened. Inside was a hidden door, old and dusty. Where could it lead? Sobia gathered her courage and slowly opened the door. Inside was a narrow tunnel, cold and completely dark. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside. As she walked, her foot struck something. Bending down, she saw an old chest. It was rusty, but with some effort she managed to open it. Inside were several old folded papers. She quickly took the first one and began to read. As she read, her eyes widened in shock. "Sobia, if you're reading this, it means you've fallen into this trap. Your husband is one of the 5, but to know who, you'll have to pay a heavy price." Sobia's entire body froze. Just then, footsteps echoed from the other side of the tunnel. She quickly placed the letter back into the chest, held her breath, and hid in a corner. Suddenly, under the dim glow of a flickering lantern, a shadow appeared. It was a man. His eyes glowed like a predator's in the dark. Sobia's courage was crumbling. "What are you doing here?" he asked in a chilling tone. "Do you really think you can escape from this place?" Trembling, Sobia asked, "My husband?" The man paused for a moment. Then, with a slow, cold smile, he replied, "If you ask that question again, your life may be in danger." Shaking with fear, she began to follow him. One question echoed in her heart. "Will I ever leave this palace alive?" Suddenly, another man's voice rose in the darkness. Terrified, Sobia asked, "Why won't anyone tell me the truth? Who is my husband?" He stopped. "Ask fewer questions," he said, "and learn to accept your fate. The more you try to know, the closer you get to the end." Suddenly, at the end of the tunnel, a door appeared. The man opened it and pushed Sobia into a small room. "Stay here now," he said. The door was slammed shut. The strangest thing was, on the ground beside the wardrobe lay an old photograph. With trembling hands, Sobia picked it up, and her breath stopped. In the picture, the same 5 elderly men were standing, but with them was a woman who looked exactly like Sobia. Suddenly, a gust blew out the candle, and the entire room was swallowed in darkness. "Ya Allah, what is this?" On the wall, a thin crack was visible, as if hiding a secret door. Gathering her courage, she reached out and pushed the door. It revealed another narrow tunnel, pitch dark and cold. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. As she walked, she saw old things lying scattered on the ground. In the darkness of the tunnel, a shadow was moving. Cold sweat spread across her body. "Who's there?" Her voice trembled. In the dim lantern light, a wrinkled face, gray eyes, and a white beard became visible. It was the same man who had brought her into the tunnel, but this time there was no anger in his eyes. Instead, there was a desire to speak. "If you want to live, then leave this place right now," he whispered. "Another girl had come here before, but she lost her life because of her urge to uncover the truth." "Was she murdered?" Sobia asked. The man gave no answer. "If you too try to know who your husband is, then your fate will be the same." A storm of questions raged in Sobia's mind. She was about to speak when suddenly the bell of the mansion rang out. The man stepped back, terrified. "They've come." "Who has come?" Sobia asked in a panicked voice. But the man didn't answer. He suddenly disappeared into the darkness. Now Sabiyah was alone in that tunnel where death seemed to lurk in the shadows. A shadow, tall and terrifying, stood right behind her. Suddenly the shadow spoke. "You shouldn't have come here, Sabiyah." Sabiyah gathered her courage and asked, "Who are you?" The shadow slowly stepped forward, and as the light fell on his face, she saw clearly. He was the second man among the 5 elderly grooms. If you try to uncover the truth, your end will be just like theirs. Sabiyah's heart skipped a beat. Other women? What other women? She asked. The man pointed toward a door at the far end of the tunnel. On the door, written in blood, were the words, "Here lie buried the women who came seeking their husbands." Now Sabiyah began to understand. This marriage was no ordinary marriage. There was something in this family that was being hidden from the world. And the biggest question now, was the next shroud meant for her? Sabiyah felt she had to escape, but her mind was overwhelmed with questions. If you stay here, then the next shroud will be yours. Just then the sound of hurried footsteps was heard outside the door. Someone was approaching the tunnel. Terrified, Sabiyah looked behind her. The face of the old man had turned pale. "They're coming to take you." "Who are they?" Sabiyah asked, trembling. Her heartbeat grew faster. In the darkness, only a shadow was visible. "You were looking for us, weren't you? Now come with us." The shadow standing outside the door grew denser and darker. Suddenly, the door flung open with a loud crash. Sabiyah shut her eyes tightly. But when she finally gathered the courage to open her eyes, her very soul trembled. Standing in front of the door were the 5 old men. Their eyes were glowing strangely. There was no expression on their faces. And in their hands, white cloth, shrouds. Sabiyah, terrified, tried to step back, but hit the wall behind her. "Let me go! I don't want to know anything anymore. I don't want to see anything." But the 5 men began walking slowly toward her. "You must now go to the place where the others have gone." "Leave me alone!" she screamed with all her strength, but her voice got lost between the cracks of the walls. Suddenly the old man who had found her in the tunnel stepped in between. "Not this time, I will save her," he said in anger, and pulled Sabiyah to the side. The 5 men paused for a moment, then fire of rage flared in their eyes. "You came back to us again. Jalil, you do not know your fate," said the eldest among them. But who was he? And why was he helping her? Jalil quickly grabbed Sabiyah's wrist and began dragging her toward the door. Sabiyah didn't ask any questions. She just ran with Jalil. They reached a room where they saw several photographs. "Who are these people?" Sabiyah asked. Jalil took a deep breath. "These are the women who, like you, came to this Haveli. They too believed they were marrying one of the 5, but the truth was something else." "Then what is the real truth?" Sabiyah asked. Jalil looked directly into her eyes and said, "The truth is, all 5 of them are dead." "What?" "Yes," Jalil continued, "they died many years ago, but their spirits are trapped in this Haveli. Every few years they bring a new bride here and trap her as their wife. But the reality is, only one of them is truly married, the one who is the original owner of this Haveli. If you want to know the truth, you must go to the oldest room in the Haveli, where that man is waiting for you. But," Jalil warned, "if you go there and he accepts you as his own, then you will never be able to leave this Haveli again." Sabiyah's mind was completely numb. She took a deep breath and said, "Take me to that room." A trace of sorrow appeared in Jalil's eyes, but he nodded and began walking forward. The mystery behind the old door. They finally reached the oldest part of the Haveli, a heavy wooden door, weakened by the wear of time. Jalil stopped and with a trembling voice said, "If you go through this door, your fate will change, Sobia." Sobia clenched her fingers and opened the door. In the middle of the room sat a man. "You took too long to come, Sobia. Who are you?" "I am the one with whom your nikah has been done." Sobia's scream got stuck in her throat. But what was this? That face, it wasn't human. His eyes were unnaturally deep, as if hiding some dark mystery. "Are you truly my husband?" Sobia asked, trembling. "What do you think?" he responded calmly. "Can I not be?" "These women, who are they?" Sobia asked again. A strange flicker passed through his eyes. He slowly said, "These are the women I married, but they made the mistake of trying to leave me." "What happened to them?" Sobia asked. The man pointed to a corner of the room. There lay 5 white shrouds, just like in the tunnel. The ground slipped from under Sobia's feet. You killed them?" she asked with a trembling voice. The man gave no answer. Only a faint smile curled on his lips. "What if I want to leave?" she dared to ask. The man's smile slowly faded. "You may leave, Sobia. But remember, once someone leaves this mansion, they never return." Now Sobia had to make a decision. Should she believe the man's words, or uncover the deepest mystery of the mansion and find her own way to survive? "I want to leave this place," Sobia said bravely. A strange smile appeared again on the man's face. "All right, the door is open. Go." Sobia had not expected this, but could this be a trap? She slowly backed toward the door. Her hand touched the cold handle. As she opened it, there was only darkness, no light, no path, just dense, terrifying darkness. "If you wish to leave, step forward," the man said softly. Sobia placed one foot into the darkness, but when she moved her second foot, something began to pull her, as if an invisible force had been waiting to consume her. She screamed and pulled her body back with all her strength. As soon as she re-entered the room, the darkness disappeared, and the door closed on its own. Sobia began to breathe heavily, panic-stricken. What was that?" The man spoke in a serious tone. "That is the darkness from which no one ever returns. That is why I told you. Think carefully before you go." He still stood there, his deep gaze fixed on Sobia. "Now you understand, Sobia," he said slowly. "There's only one way out of here, and that is me." Sobia took a deep breath. She didn't trust this man, but if entering that darkness meant death, what choice did she have? Just then her eyes caught the sight of an old window in the room. It was half open. A slight breeze flowed through it. "Maybe this is my last chance," she thought. Suddenly Sobia ran toward the window. The man's smile vanished instantly. "Stop, Sobia!" he shouted. But this time Sobia was no longer ready to listen to anyone. She pushed the window open with all her strength and jumped out. Falling to the ground, she realized she had landed in the middle of a dense garden. All around, a strange silence. As far as the eye could see, there was no one. But the trees were draped with white cloth, as if they hinted toward some terrifying truth. Sobia slowly touched one of the cloths. It was a shroud. Her body shivered, and then a soft, terrifying voice echoed behind her. "Sobia, you can't run from me." The man was still there, but now he no longer looked the same. "Now you must know the truth, Sobia," he whispered, "who I am, and who you really married." His eyes now sparkled with a strange shimmer. He slowly stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "Now you must know the truth, Sobia. You cannot run from it." Gathering her courage, Sobia asked, "Who are you? And what is all of this?" The man paused for a moment. Then, lowering his head, he spoke in a cold tone. I am the one you were married to. But I am not human. I am the greatest secret of this mansion. What do you mean? The man looked around and said, The true history of this Haveli is ancient. The 5 dead men you believe to be your husbands, none of them were alive. They are all imprisoned inside the graves of this mansion. Then, whom did I marry? Sobia asked in a trembling voice. The man took a deep breath and replied, You were married, only to me. But as punishment from this mansion, you were made to believe that you were married to 5 different men. Then who are you? Sobia asked. He replied slowly, I am the one who once tried to break the secrets of this mansion. But the Haveli made me a part of itself. Now I am half human and half spirit. Now 2 paths stood before Sobia. Either she would become part of the mansion and be trapped here forever, or she would destroy it and return to her real life. A man's voice echoed once more. If you want to leave, then you must do one last thing. The man looked at her and said slowly, You have to kill me. Those final words echoed in Sobia's ears. You have to kill me. What? Are you joking? She gasped. If you kill me, this curse of the mansion will end. This place will be freed, and so will you. But I can't kill anyone. That's haram, Sobia replied. The man gave a faint smile. That's why I wished you'd never learn the truth. But now there's no other way. If you don't do it, you too will be imprisoned in this mansion forever. Suddenly, terrifying screams echoed through the Haveli. Sobia looked around. From the walls of the mansion, shadows began to emerge. The same 5 old men she once thought were her husbands. Their eyes glowed with a strange, eerie shine. You are ours now, a dreadful voice thundered. Sobia quickly turned to the man. If I kill you, will these shadows leave me? She asked. The man slowly nodded. Sobia gathered all her courage. She whispered Bismillah and drove the knife into his chest. Suddenly the ground shook. The 5 shadowy elders began to thrash. Their bodies turned into black smoke, as if an invisible force was consuming them, and in a matter of moments they burned into ashes along with the mansion. From Sobia's lips, verses from the Quran began to flow. Her voice trembled at first, but with every step her recitation grew stronger. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. The moment her words struck the walls of the mansion, a massive explosion erupted. The black shadows that had been hiding began to scream and burn to death. Sobia knew. Even 1 second more in this place could mean danger. She ran with all her might toward the exit. Behind her, the mansion was engulfed in flames and turning to ashes. And the moment she set her final foot outside the mansion's boundary, Sobia collapsed to the ground. Her breath was rapid. Is it really over? Tears welled up in her eyes. The mysterious document. Just then, something began to float in the air and landed right in front of her. It was an old burnt piece of paper. Sobia slowly picked it up. On it were written a few strange names: Mirza Kashem Ali, Syed Jalimuddin Shah, Muhammad Ibrahim Hashmi, Nawab Abdul Majid Khan, Fazlur Rahman Baig. These were the names of the 5 elderly men whom Sobia once believed she was married to. But when she looked closely, there was one more name written there, her own, Sobia. Was all of this just a game? A chill ran down Sobia's spine. Why is my name on this list? Just then she heard a soft whisper. The story isn't over yet, Sobia. Her blood ran cold. Slowly she turned her head. Someone was standing behind her. Sobia's body went numb. She slowly turned to look back. A shadow stood there, dim, dark, and very familiar. Her eyes widened. It was the same man, the one she had stabbed. "But how is this possible? You died," she said, her voice trembling. He smiled faintly and said, "Yes, I died, but I can never die forever, not until you know the truth." Sobia's breathing grew faster. "The truth? What truth?" The man slowly extended his hand. The burnt document floated in the air and landed in his hand. "Didn't you see? Your name was also on this list." Sobia's head started spinning. Then, "What does this mean?" The man spoke in a deep, serious voice. "You were not just a victim of this Haveli. You were a part of it. You were never truly married to anyone. This mansion was your prison." Sobia was shocked. "What? But I came here as a guest." The man shook his head. "No, Sobia. Your connection to this Haveli goes back a long time. Your ancestors once tried to take control of this place. And since then, this Haveli has been cursed. Anyone who enters never returns." The man closed his eyes. He began to turn into smoke. "Sobia, you have saved yourself and ended the curse of this Haveli forever. Now go, live your real life." His existence slowly faded into nothingness, and then everything ended. Sobia took a deep breath and walked away from that place. So friends, this was our story for today. If you liked the video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any thoughts about this story, let us know in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.